ChatGPT has just released its latest model, GPT-5.6, and within this model we have three different names. We have Sol, Terra, and Luna. And the timing's not a coincidence, guys. Just after Fable 5 was released from Anthropic, after the US government stopped them for 2 weeks without allowing the public to answer the model, it is not a coincidence that this is when ChatGPT is releasing its new model. My goal in this video is that in 10 minutes you understand exactly what this model is, what's new about it, if it's worth the hype or not, and that you see it in action within a live practice. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, first of all, what is this new model? So this new model is GPT 5.6, and this number is just the generation of the model, meaning the previous one was 5.5, the one before 5.4, and you get the drill. But within the model, we have three different categories of models. First of all, we have Sol, so that would be GPT 5.6 Sol. This is the flagship model, the top model that has been released. Then we would have 5.6 Terra, which is a good cost-efficient model, and then finally we'd have the fastest and, let's say, least quality model for quick, simple answers, which would be Luna. So if we want to compare with, let's say, Claude, you could say that Sol would be the equivalent of, for instance, Fable 5. And these are actually the models that we're going to be comparing precisely in this video. So let's look at the numbers, let's look at the KPIs and see if this model is actually worth it or not. Let's look at the first KPI, which would be the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index. Basically, just think of it as the overall smartness of the model. We can see here how Fable 5 is actually in the lead, scoring 60, but Sol is just below at 60. So you could basically say that when it comes to brain power, they are more or less on a similar level, which is quite good news for this update for Sol, because honestly, Fable is fantastic. By the way, we have a video on Fable 5 on the channel if you are interested in learning more about this model from Anthropic. Let's continue. Let's look at the Coding Agentic Index. Basically, this is how good are these models at working with agentic AI. And we can clearly see how Sol is ahead at 80, followed by Fable at 77. And this makes a lot of sense because we've seen in the latest updates of Codex and in general GPT's models, how Sam Altman has really been favoring agentic AI. And I think it makes sense because this is the direction in which AI is headed in 2026 and 2027. Next, if we look at AA Briefcase, which basically measures the realistic work slides that these models can produce, we can actually see that Sol is now in second place, just below Fable 5, which actually has the highest presentation quality score of any model. So for building any actual deliverables, we're going to get the best results from Fable, but just after that, we're going to get the best deliverables from Sol. Next, let's look at cost per job, because yes, we all want quality, but how much is this going to cost us? And here's we can see that Sol really punches Fable by coming in at a 1/3 of the cost, basically $1.04 per task. So we basically have almost the same quality for a third of the cost. And this is very relevant, especially for those API users that are going to be ramping up a lot of usage of either Fable or this Sol model. And finally, when we look at coding, if we check out SWE Bench, we can see how Fable 5 is still ahead when it comes to coding. As a matter of fact, the more complex the problem gets, the bigger the distance is from Sol 5.6. So for our hardest coding problems, we are still going to go to Fable. Now, we've seen the numbers, it's time to put it in action. So let's do a live practice together and see how this model works and how it competes with Fable 5. Okay guys, so I've basically opened up here ChatGPT and I also have Claude in another tab. We're actually going to put them one next to the other so that you can compare. And what I've done is I've prepared a prompt, which I will read to you in a second, and we're going to attach a file as well. Basically, this file is some fictitious Q2 numbers from a fake company called Sovio. So basically, Sovio is presenting the results of their second quarter of the year, and what we can see right here is that the results are very good. Revenue has increased by 18% and profitability appears to be 70%. However, there are some risks and there are a few wrong things with the document. So what I want to do is send them both the exact same prompt, which we'll read now, the exact same data, and see which one catches what. First of all, we can see that, and I'm just giving you kind of a spoiler of the results, but of the revenue increase, there is a bit of risk because it's concentrated in three main accounts. And there's actually one account that contains the biggest concentration. So although we've grown, which is good as a company, there is a bit of risk here. Another thing that I've hidden into the numbers is that profitability isn't actually 70%. And as a matter of fact, the most profitable product is so profitable because there is an expense associated to that product that we haven't taken into account. So I want to see if it's capable of detecting that expense, which is in a completely separate tab, and associate it to that account and say, hey, this product's actually not profitable. It's making you lose money. There's also a few risks, such as a few contracts that the company needs to renegotiate soon. So I want to see if it detects all of these. Okay, so we're going to be testing quality of output. We're going to be testing analysis, and we're also going to test the visual representation of the result. Okay, so we can see we're using here 5.6 Sol. We're using here Fable 5. So let's send them both in and compare all of this. While we're waiting for the response, let's quickly read the prompt, which, by the way, you can screenshot if you would like to use it. But we've basically said that you are the CFO of a company, and I want you to be the skeptic in the room. I've attached the results of the business, and internally, everyone's celebrating. Revenue's up 18% and a 70% profit margin. I don't just want a summary of the good news. I want you to read the entire file and cross-check numbers across every tab. I want you to tell me, number one, what is the single biggest risk hiding in the quarter and that everyone's missing? Number two, is there anything that looks good but is actually a problem underneath, and prove it to me with numbers? And number three, if I could only act on one thing next quarter, what should it be? This is the same prompt that's been sent to both of them. So let's see which one is faster, which one gives us better quality result. And we can already start seeing that Sol 5.6 is being faster. It is already finding a few of these points. For example, it says the first contradiction is already clear. The 70% analytics margin excludes the shared cost pool, while analytics consumes 70% of the pool. Basically, what it's saying is, hey, you're telling me that this is a 70% profit, but you're not taking into account certain expenses. That was one of the traps that I told you this document had, and we can see how it's already found one. Okay, we can see that now Claude is finally giving us a return as well. Let's see what we have. I have read all tabs and cross-checked them. The account level detail ties into the P&L, so the arithmetic is clean. The story built up on top of it is not, however. So I just want to check quickly. Okay, it looks like Claude ended up being faster and giving us the results. And this is one of the benefits that Fable has. Fable is very fast when giving us responses. While one of the main advantages that Sol has is its agentic work, Fable is very fast. It's even faster than its previous model, Opus 4.8, which is actually not in the same category. Fable is more related to the Mythos model. Again, we have a whole video on it in the channel if you can check it out. But hey, we can see that in terms of speed, the win goes to Claude. Okay, we have here the response as well by ChatGPT. It took 1 minute and 50 seconds to be precise. And let's see if we get to the exact time for Claude. We do not, but let's give it, let's say 20 seconds left. More or less the same. Let's read both responses. I'm going to analyze them quickly. And then once I'm done with my analysis, I'll show you the differences so that we can compare results. All right, guys, so I've just read both reports, and honestly, they've both nailed it. They've both found the exact same things, and they've given me a very good response. I'm going to focus more on ChatGPT for now, because literally the analysis is the same, and the recommendations are not just correct, but the same. But I do like a bit more the output, the way of expressing itself, and how much simpler the terms are explained in ChatGPT. So I'll focus the answer there. We can see here how it's found all traps. It says one of your business line, which is analytics, you say is 70% of profit. However, that is not correct, because after you attach all expenses required to operate in that business line, you're actually losing money. You're losing minus 8.75%. That's actually your loss. So while you thought this was a very good product, it's actually making you lose money. This is how much you lose every time. Then it found the revenue trap, which is, yes, you've grown in revenue, but 42% of that increase in revenue comes only from one client. If that client leaves, your business is in trouble. We can also see how the largest customer is 20% of revenue and the top three are 40%. So your business is very concentrated in very little customers. If something happens to one of those, your business is done. What else did it find here? It found, where we should actually focus on, which is that the products that maybe bring in less revenue actually bring a lot more profitability. So you might want to focus there. And then its recommendation for the next quarter made a lot of sense, which is saying, hey, one of your main competitors, the contract is ending, but the good thing is that you can use that to renegotiate, because what you're actually selling them makes you lose money. So you can make changes in that contract to improve. They've both found the same things and the quality was amazing. So I've decided to do a second test, guys, which I'm going to send in right now. And I'll read you both prompts just so that you can check it out. But basically, I just said the following. I said, perfect, now I want you to turn the analysis into a board-ready one-page executive brief that I will send today. Structure it with one headline sentence, the 3 key findings ranked by urgency, and the top recommendation for next quarter. I also want a short what we're watching list. So this is just to see again speed and also the difference in presentation. So here we have the response after 7 seconds in ChatGPT. This time it was faster, and we still have Claude working. Remember that one of the metrics that we saw was the quality of actual work, presentations, reports, things like this, and that's where Sol had actually won with quite a difference in comparison to, for instance, Fable 5. Still, we're going to look at the differences and see which one is better. Let's start reading this report, and we can see here, analytics is not a 70% business margin. I agree. Actually, I skipped the headline, sorry. Revenue growth masks a serious earning risks. Analytics is a loss-making after share costs, and more than half of its revenue depends on one customer. Very good analysis. What else here? Analytics is not a 70% margin business. This is the most urgent, and it shows the mathematical calculations. Growth is heavily dependent on one customer. Completely agree. And the quality of growth is weaker than the 18% headline suggests. Amazing. Top 3 recommendations for Q3: restructure the renewal deal around profitable economics, what I was telling you before. And what we're watching the renewal prices, analytics support and infrastructure per dollar of revenue, and the new customer booking. Okay, amazing. We have here the response. Let's quickly preview this PDF and see what it made exactly. It's taking a bit longer to load, but here it is. Okay, when it comes to design, guys, I honestly prefer ChatGPT's cleaner kind of PDF, but maybe some of you prefer with colors. So this is a bit more subjective. Let's see. Q2's 18% real growth is real, but it was driven by a product line that loses money on a fully costed basis and concentrated in one customer. I like more the one sentence in ChatGPT. I think it's simpler and to the point, but let's see. Key findings, urgent. Our flagship product analytics is unprofitable once shared costs are counted. Perfect. 42% of the quarter's growth came from one customer alone. Okay. And the customer could leave in 60 days when we renegotiate. The customer base is shrinking and the anchor accounts have stalled. Growth quality is low. Recommendations, fix analytics unit. What are we watching? The renewal, the analytics. So as you can see, the quality of the result is quite similar, and this makes sense because as we saw, there was only 1 point of difference, 60 for Fable 5, 59 for GPT 5.6. So the quality of the analysis is very similar. We did see that when it came to actually producing a final result, GPT was a bit faster, but some of you might like this PDF format and these colors. So it is quite tight. I just want to give you a final recommendation and we'll finish off the video, guys. As you've seen, guys, both models are very strong. So I'm just going to give you some recommendations on when I would use each. We've seen that 5.6 is a fast model, and we've also seen it's very good at agentic work. So if you're a Codex user, it makes a lot of sense to use that. Also, we've seen it's a much cheaper model. So especially if you're going to be using its API, you're probably going to want to give preference to 5.6 because the quality of work is so similar, but the cost is literally a third. On the other hand, in Fable, we saw that when a problem is actually complex, it's going to execute better. If you're coding, it's also going to be better. And if you care about results way over cost, then Fable is also going to be a model for you. As usual, there's not the right question isn't which model is best, it's which model is best for each task. And now that you understand both models, you can make that decision much better. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Remember, guys, just before we go, we host a free class every single Monday of the week doing live practices, and you can ask me questions. They're completely free, and you can sign up in the first link of the description. Also remember to subscribe and activate the notifications bell. We post 2 YouTube videos per week at least, giving you valuable content just like this, completely for free, so that you can keep on learning and applying AI. We hope that you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.